Your realtor should have more than just a lockbox key. I've spent 15 years curating relationships that open doors.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Localized Miami. I'm your host, Robert Ruano, and here's where we talk about the leaders and change makers in Miami. And today we have a special guest, as always, City of Coral Gables Commissioner Ariel Fernandez.
Thank you very much, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be in this great studio.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Community News does a great job. Grant and Michael Miller have a great shop here, and yeah, I'm glad you're here. I heard that you told me that you hadn't been here before, or at least been on a show, so I'm glad I could be the first show.
No, it's incredible. I had never been inside the studios. I had never been inside this building, and the work that the Millers have done for this community for so many years, providing news and information to this community, has been great. So it's great to be here in this great family.
You're a pretty good speaker. Are you a politician?
I play one on TV.
Okay, all right. That's pretty good. Good. So anyway, yes, you are a politician. You're my commissioner in the city of Coral Gables, the city beautiful. When did you become commissioner? And, we'll get into the details, but when did you become commissioner, and what took you to public service?
So that's a great question. I was the quiet kid in class, hoping never to get called upon. I never wanted to speak publicly. And my parish priest actually told me, you have a talent and you're not using it. And he forced me to read every Sunday at Mass and forced me to get up in front of people and start speaking. From there, I became president of my youth group, got involved in the Archdiocese of Miami, and in the Encuentros Juveniles, which is a youth group of the Archdiocese of Miami, which helps build Catholic leaders. And through Encuentros Juveniles, I started a radio show on Radio Paz. I had a Saturday afternoon radio show, and started speaking publicly about many issues. During that time, I had started working with Congresswoman Ileana Ross-Layton as an intern, and started an internship with her my senior year at Belen Jesuit. And I was with her for 11 years.
What was your senior year there? Can I ask?
1999.
1999. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we just celebrated our 25th anniversary, I guess, a year and a half ago now.
Fantastic.
Time flies.
25th of being at
from graduation.
Graduating from Belen.
From graduation.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you went right from there, from Belen, you went to work with
I started with her actually through a career day that was done at my senior year of high school.
Okay.
A gentleman came to speak about the work she was doing at her office, and he invited us to come to the office and see what they did. I was at the time starting an internship with John Morales on Channel 23 doing the weather, because I was going to be a weatherman. I was going to study meteorology.
No way.
Yeah, things definitely changed. I started doing both internships and realized that the path for me was to go down a path where I could help more people. And that was the calling that I had. Decided to start working and changing my major to political science at FIU. And I got hired by the Congresswoman right out of high school, started as a part-time receptionist and worked my way up to Deputy District Director. And I really enjoyed the work that I was able to do there, helping residents, in particular Coral Gables. Coral Gables was always part of our district, so I always had that connection to the city. When my wife and I got married in 2010, she had always wanted to move to Coral Gables. We didn't think it was possible, but we were able to find a home in the city, move into the city beautiful. And I ran for office the first time in I think it was 2015.
Okay.
I did not win, but I remained involved. Actually, I lost to Jeanette Slesnick. Jeanette appointed me to a city board after that. She asked me to stay involved, and I did.
Rest in peace, Jeanette.
Yes.
Wonderful
she was a great friend. And I continued involved in the city, served on the Emergency Management Board. I served on the Property Advisory Board, and I chaired the School Community Relations Committee in the city. Nice. I decided to run again after starting Gables Insider and following what was happening in the city for a couple of years and realizing we needed a new voice on the city commission who could really change things up.
Right. Yeah. And I'm really impressed with Gables Insider, what you were able to do there. I didn't always agree with the things you were saying because I believe at that time you had a good friend and his name was Vince Lago.
Would we call that a friend?
A friend at the time.
A friend at the time, but a friend that I always had I would say a difficult relationship with because I always challenged him to be better. And I was never a yes person who could say, I'm going to do what you're telling me to do. I would take the information and do my own research. And a lot of the articles that I published in Gables Insider were really part of investigative journalism, which I really enjoyed, trying to find out what was truly going on in the city, investigating the documents, and the reason Gables Insider became what it did was we were the voice of what was going on in Coral Gables, but it wasn't about one angle or the other. For the most part, we were providing the documents for people to make up their own minds. We did have guest opinion pieces that were coming to us, and we tried to limit that. Our goal was really to put out the facts and let people make up their own minds. And we grew from 250 family and friends to 38,000 subscribers by the
fantastic.
time I became a city commissioner.
What's going on with Gables Insider now?
So I sold it when I became a city commissioner. I'm not sure what's happened there.
Okay.
I know that it really was a full-time job.
After Banos, right?
Javier Banos purchased it after I.
And then he let it drop?
Yeah. It was a full-time job. I mean, the amount of time that I devoted to Gables Insider was 60 or 70 hours a week sometimes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Just because you have to do the research, you have to watch the city meetings and really follow what's going on. As a one-man show, it was really hard.
Yeah, of course. Although you had JC Diaz-Padrón working with you for a while,
At the beginning, I did, yes.
Okay.
For the first 2 years, JC Diaz-Padrón was my partner in Gables Insider, and it just became a lot of work, and I bought him out. And I handled all of Gables Insider the following 2 years, and I'll tell you, it was a lot of work. I mean, getting ready we were sending out 2 newsletters a week with articles. I was publishing anywhere from 6 to 10 articles a week on very detailed
before
issues.
AI too.
Before AI, correct?
Can you believe it?
Yes.
There was writing before AI.
I enjoy writing.
Me too.
I enjoy writing. Look, AI has really changed the way that we do things nowadays, but we can't really rely on it to do everything for us.
No.
I think that the days of people writing their own content are still important for us. You see all these articles and these ads online for, you could write a book in 30 minutes. No, you can't write a book. Somebody else is writing it for you.
Right.
Sit down and write a book. It really gets the best out of you. You're able to put your thoughts on paper and really make a difference.
Right. Yeah, and I see it. I see, and coincidentally, they have an AI training going on here today. I don't know if you knew about it, going on in another room here. Because AI has its uses, and I'm sure, I know cities use it. I know they use it here. I used it to a certain degree, but you're right. You can't just start from scratch, and we're just gonna not know anything.
Look, it's incredible the things that it's able to do. I had a resident reach out to me during the budget season last year, and they told me, well, I ran the city budget through ChatGPT, and this is the recommendations ChatGPT is making. That's great, but you still need to go back and verify because ChatGPT doesn't have all the information. I remember a friend of mine was telling me, about December of last year, that ChatGPT still didn't know that Leo the 14th was the Pope. It still thought Francis was the Pope. It hadn't figured that part out. So with artificial intelligence, it's still learning, and it's learning on a daily basis. So it's important that we still keep that human element involved.
Of course, definitely. And so, but you ultimately you've been a commissioner now for almost 4 years, right?
Correct.
In Coral Gables. But there was a big announcement you made probably 3 weeks now, and I reached out to you. Tell me what you said.
So this had been something that I had been thinking about for a while. In January of this past year, I had a meeting with a former colleague, Kirk Menendez, who sat on the commission with me.
He's been here. I interviewed him.
Well, so Kirk and I had a conversation. Kirk started a company called Cubatech 26 years ago.
Okay. And
the point of Cubatech was finding a way to prepare for the eventual change in Cuba. And obviously, for the last 26 years, there wasn't even a thought that could be a reality.
Can I back you up here?
Sure.
Because most people are going to say, Commissioner Kirk Menendez, 26 years ago, he started a firm called Cubatech. Well, he was involved with the Cuban American National Foundation at the time. He was one of the team.
He still is.
Yeah.
He's still involved.
And he was involved in the Ariel Fernandez situation. And he's in some of the pictures back then. So he was very involved in Cuba before he ever went to the city of Miami, because I worked with him there, or maybe ever before.
Correct. In fact, if you pull up the video of Donald Trump speaking at the Cuban American National Foundation 25 years ago, right behind Melania Trump is Kirk Menendez.
Oh, wow.
So
there you go.
He started this company with the eventual goal of having things ready when there was a change in Cuba. And in January, we started having the conversation about what's happening in Cuba, what is the administration pushing for, and how could we get involved. And I came on board as CEO of Cubatech, and we're working on some cool projects that I think will be transformative for the people of Cuba. Our goal, obviously, we're going to be consulting with local companies that are looking for assistance on how to enter the Cuban market, but we're also working on some humanitarian projects. We're working on an education initiative that has a goal of helping the people of Cuba through that transition and to ensure that a totalitarian government can't come in 5 or 10 years because they still don't understand what living in a free society is.
Of course.
So we're currently working on that. We've already had some preliminary conversations with universities and with the Vatican on this initiative, and we're trying to push it through rather quickly to make sure we're ready whenever that change comes to help the people of Cuba and give them the tools that they need to ensure democracy is longstanding in Cuba.
But let me ask you, and I think it's a noble work. I was born in Cuba. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not.
Very young, yeah. So that's really important work, and it's great that you're doing. But why not run again? That's the question. It's like, could you do both? Could you be the CEO? Because some other people have full-time jobs. Why couldn't? What made you decide not to run again?
I think what a lot of people don't realize, the Coral Gables Commission is almost a full-time job. The amount of time that we're having to devote to this job is incredibly long hours. Our commission meetings can be 12 hours long sometimes. And preparing for the commission meetings, we have meetings with staff.
Excuse me for laughing.
Well,
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's a reality.
Because the 12 hours are filled with
shorter.
6 hours of one person.
Well,
anyway.
You know, let's make this about us. How about that? He has a good job. He really makes everything about him. Let's make this about us.
You have to draw me back from the break. Here, look at this.
Exactly.
Good idea.
You know, it's a full-time job. You know, the residents have a lot of needs, and those needs need to be met in a way that we need to provide those services. I came into this job promising a residents-first government. And I think we've really changed that mentality of the city in many different ways. We have focused on projects that for years had not been a major priority. You know, one of the biggest projects that people had been talking about was our sidewalks haven't been repaired in years. And we continued to put money into the sidewalks. Funny thing is, the mayor actually brought that up last commission meeting, saying that I was lying about the numbers. Yet if you look at the bottom line where it says how much money has been invested, I was exactly right. We've almost tripled the funding for sidewalk repairs and sidewalks in the city in the last 3 years.
Some crappy sidewalks close to my house.
Well, you know, that's a different one. I did not vote in favor of that.
I know. Thank you
I did not think that project was safe the way that it's being done, and I still don't think today.
It's awful.
It does not. It's not Coral Gables.
No.
It's not Coral Gables. But
I'm going to vote for anyone who rips that sidewalk out. Candidates going to Coral Gables. Let's vote. Let's get that sidewalk out. Anyway.
Well, I think we'll have an interesting election season.
Yeah, it will be.
This will be the first time that Coral Gables has a November election. I think that's really going to change things. The question is it really going to have the intended change that people were sold on? People were told this is going to cost us less money. Well, it is not. We're still going to have a runoff in December, which is going to cost us money. It's going to increase turnout. Well, the December runoff is probably going to be less than an April election and an April runoff, because now you're talking about an election that's going to fall between Thanksgiving and Christmas or Passover. I'm sorry, Hanukkah. So are people actually going to participate in that election at record numbers? You also look at the numbers from, say, the annexation vote that was taken in August. It was an August election, and we still saw almost the same number of voters who voted in this past election. So down ballot, it takes a lot for people to actually vote down ballot. I don't know that it's going to have that intended change, but that's the will of voters. The will of voters was to change this and make this a November election, and I'm supportive of what the voters want.
And I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the voters picked it, to be honest. I at first wanted the November election, but then because of all the outside money, Citizens United, you know, all this large money that's coming in, I see the benefit of that April election, you know. And I had J.C. Planas on here, who's an election attorney, and he was saying, look, for a city like Coral Gables, it makes sense to have an April election. But, you know, like you said, the voters voted. And
money is going to be a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been a big issue.
Sure.
You look at the county elections right now. You have several county commissioners who were elected just because of the war chest that they've been able to build up. $1 million in a war chest for a county commissioner. Why does somebody need that much money to run for the county commissioner?
To keep, you know why. We both know why.
I understand.
To keep people
but
from running against them.
the question is, does Citizens United have to be revisited? You know, and are we at a point in time now where we may want to look at constitutional amendments to change that specific campaign finance? Because you have people who are getting money just because they are in office. In some cases, they've been appointed to office. They weren't even elected to office. So is that a level playing field for the average resident? And look, I'm a candidate, or I was a candidate, who won being outraised 11-1 by my opponent. My opponent raised $372,000. I raised $35,000, and I didn't use it all.
Who was your opponent?
Alex Bucello.
Oh, okay.
So you're able to run a grassroots campaign. Now, if you watch videos that were done 2 years ago, where former Mayor Ariel Fernandez stated publicly on a TV show that we needed to change the election to November so that people like Ariel Fernandez couldn't get elected because they control a certain part of the electorate, you have to look at what the reasoning was for changing this election.
Right.
Was it really because they wanted a higher turnout? Was it really because they wanted to lower costs? Or was it because they disagreed with the will of voters to elect Melissa Castro and Ariel Fernandez? And I think that's what the problem was.
So you think ultimately the change, the desire to change the election from April to November was just to mess with you and Melissa's terms?
They said it on TV. They said it on TV. This is something that was publicly stated. It wasn't something that was not. Raul Valdez-Fowley went on Tomás Regalado's show and stated that the rich people in the South don't go out to vote in April. So you need to change the election because the poor people, and this is, you can look it up, the poor people were the ones who elected Ariel Fernandez and Melissa Castro.
Oh, wow.
So it's disappointing.
Totally.
I mean, in this day and age, there shouldn't be class warfare.
Right.
It definitely should not be taking place in Coral Gables, and it shouldn't be led by somebody who was twice mayor of the city of Coral Gables.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the reality that we were living. You know, you have political action committees and political committees that raise $2 million and attack colleagues on the city commission.
Oh, I've seen it.
In order to get their way or make them look bad. In many cases, defamation.
Yeah, completely.
You know, defamatory comments.
Completely misogynistic.
But that's what we've come to in society today. We always thought that the negative politics we were seeing at the national level might not make it down to the local level. Well, they have.
Did you really think that?
I thought that in Coral Gables, we had been able to avoid that up to my election. I mean, my election, they couldn't have gone dirtier than they did in my election. I mean, the attacks that they launched against me, they put pictures of me with Nicolás Maduro that they photoshopped and called me a socialist just to try to fool people. The amount of things that they put out there, you know, people knocking on doors and telling them that I was somebody who was mentally unstable and that they had the medical documents to prove it.
God.
So
that's awful.
This is what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't think that, and it didn't work in that election.
Let me tell you, he hasn't told me to repeat it publicly, so I won't say the name, but a mayor in Miami-Dade County, a friend, I consider him a friend, told me that when he was running for another election, they had first tried to label him, he's a Democrat, they first tried to label him as a money-hungry lobbyist because he's an attorney and a lobbyist. When that didn't work, 3 weeks later, they were labeling him as a socialist.
Yeah.
It was just like, and you see the two different, the same guy.
Funny story about that. The socialist mailer, I had an event at a city park to address an issue that residents had. I was still a candidate, but I wanted to hear from them. It was an issue with a dog park that had been forced on a neighborhood. And I show up at the event, a lady comes up to me, and there's a Democrat living with a Republican. And she shows up with two mailers, almost identical. One said I was a Republican. The other one said I was a socialist. So she comes up and says, I wanted to meet the first Republican socialist because they were targeting both sides on the same day with a different mailer attacking me.
That is crazy.
And we still don't know who paid for that ad.
Well, you know,
because it was done through a third-party PAC.
Was it?
that nobody was able to figure out where the money came from.
Yeah. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. I can't believe we went through 20 minutes so fast because this has been really interesting.
Well,
But
you and I could talk all day.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. My wife certainly says that I can talk all day for sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. But, and I've said it before on this show, is that I remember before, and I have a trajectory. I was involved in politics when I was 19 years old, working with Raul Masvidal, who was running for mayor of Miami, city of Miami, right? So I've been around it for a while. I've seen the politicking, right? And in terms of that, it used to be that they used to hide the negative ads. Like the negative ads would come out and they said, it wasn't us. No, it was some PAC, it was some this and that. Especially in the Coral Gables with the person that will not be mentioned. They're not hiding the attack. It says, this is my PAC. I'm attacking Melissa Castro.
Correct.
I'm attacking Ariel Fernandez. It's blatant. It's in your face now. Obviously, it has a different name. It has a PAC name, a Political Action Committee. For those who don't know, we're using acronyms. But yeah, it's completely blatant now. It's a real shame. And I'll tell you, and this show's not about me, it's about you. But I will tell you, going back to what you said about, I completely thought when stuff was happening, when you degrade at the national level, and you change that level of respect and everything, I completely expected it to trickle down. It's just like a father, right? If you're disrespectful, your son's over here. If you're disrespectful, if you're a certain way, if you're rude to people, kids learn that. Yeah. And if you're looking at, a president, a senator, a congressman, and they're acting in a certain way, these elected officials say, well, these people that are running for office, well, they got elected. Oh, maybe I'll try that. And you've seen a lot of copycats.
Agreed.
Yeah, we have one in Coral Gables.
And talking about family, my son talks about this all the time, and his friends talk about what's going on in the city. And I'm a man of faith, and what I tell him all the time is we just have to pray for these people. We can't change them. We can't change the way that they think. We just have to pray for them, because if it's hard, us dealing with what they're putting us through, it must be a lot harder living in their minds every day. And it's sad. It's a sad reality. And you mentioned it before, Vince and I were very close, and it has been extremely disappointing to see his self-destruction and what's really come of him since he became mayor. And we have had so much potential to build on what we could have done here in the city. And just because of politics, we haven't gotten there. And you look at the votes as a commission, when Kirk Menendez was on there, and the whole thing of, the majority, 93% of the votes were unanimous. So we voted together 93% of the time. We differed on 7%. Many commissions out there, many governments out there differ on 40, 50% of things, and they're constantly battling. And we're battling over 7% of the things that we disagree on here in the city. It's a great city. It's a city that could accomplish so much, yet here we are battling on things that are just minutia, attacking colleagues on the commission, starting false criminal investigations. This is what we've come to. It is just completely disappointing from the city beautiful, the city that everybody aspired to be like.
Right. Yeah, no, wow, you're right. There's a lot to unpack there.
We're running out of time.
It's awful. One thing I will tell you is here. I'm gonna reach out. I don't care if I break through the fourth wall. I need water. Yeah, the commission, it certainly changed. But I do want to ask, first of all, you said you voted most of the time. When did that change?
Well, I think we always voted about 93% of the time together. There was always a few projects or a few different things that we disagreed on. We obviously don't agree on everything. And I think if you look at the votes that have been taking, even Anderson and Lago haven't agreed on everything. I think Laura hasn't been on there long enough for there to have been really a dissenting vote. He's disagreed on one. But Anderson hasn't voted with Vince all the time. I have, even when Kirk Menendez was on the commission, I voted with Anderson and Laura on certain things. So when you're on the commission, you should really be up there not as a group. You should really be up there as an individual expressing what your conscience is,
Sure.
which should be built on what voters are telling you and
Yeah.
what the residents are telling you.
Yeah.
Because if you're really up there for the right reason, doesn't matter who's pushing an agenda item, you're behind it because it's the right thing to do. And that's the approach that I have taken since I've been up there. I have agreed with certain things. I've disagreed with certain things. I have voiced my opinion strongly on some, others maybe not so strongly. But in the 3 years that I've been up there, I don't think you can say, oh, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. I have voted my conscience, and I do not live with regrets.
And speaking of, so you voted with your conscience. Great. I think every elected official should do that. So November, who's running in your spot?
So there are two individuals running in my spot. Gonzalo Sanabria, who has been a candidate before. I believe he's run twice before. And Nikki Whiting, I believe is her name, who's also running for that seat. She's a newcomer. I'm not really familiar with her politics. I think she worked for Congresswoman Ross Layton after I left Congresswoman Ross Layton's office. But I don't, I have not sat down with either of them to see what their policies are going to be. I know Gonzalo and I have disagreed on many things in the past, but we've agreed on others. And I know he disagrees with the mayor on some things and agrees with the mayor on others. So I think what we need to make sure is we have members of the commission who have their own way of thinking and are going to make sure that they put the city first, not somebody else's agenda.
Right. And do you think any of these people are put up there by another elected official to get a voting block?
I can't say one way or another. I jumped out of the race before Nikki Whiting jumped in. Gonzalo had jumped in before because he disagreed with me on the way we appointed a city manager in the past, and he was very vocal about that, and he was entitled to being vocal about that. But I'm not really sure who is behind either of the candidates. Neither of them are being run by the mayor's campaign consultant, as far as I know, which usually would be a way to find out if somebody's affiliated or not. I don't think that they're involved with Vice Mayor Anderson's consultant either. So I'm not sure. I think I will be sitting there during those forums myself as a resident, trying to figure out who I'm going to be voting for this coming election. And I think every resident should really do their due diligence and learn about the candidates and figure out who they best identify with and who they think will best represent them up there.
Yeah. And then aside from your open seat, Melissa's running again, Melissa Castro.
Correct.
And she's got a couple of opponents, no?
She has one opponent, Nestor Menendez, who my understanding is that Mayor Lago did select him to run against her. That's the only one that I'm aware of that has a connection to Mayor Lago or somebody on the commission.
What an amazing coincidence that he has the same name as a commissioner, right?
Well, it's interesting, right?
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. And then the mayor is running again.
The mayor is running.
And then perennial candidate Jackson Rip Holmes is running against him. And then there is somebody else.
Laudiano Cancio, who also ran, I believe, last election for commission.
Do you know him? I don't know anything about him.
I know he's been at several commission meetings and has been outspoken about certain issues, in particular, I think the budget. I have not spoken to him this cycle, so I'm not really sure what he's running on. But, obviously, running for office is not something that's easy. No. And I think for anybody who runs for office, you have to take your hat off to them because you're really running yourself through a grinder. You're out there knocking on doors, asking people for their support. And, Ralph Cabrera, former Commissioner Ralph Cabrera, always said it. He thought everybody should run for office once in their life so that they could get that experience. And I agree with him. I think that that's something that really shows somebody what it's like to put yourself out there, have doors slammed in your face, have people yelling at you sometimes because they disagree with you, but to really listen to the residents and find out what the issues are in our community. And I think I enjoyed those. I think I knocked on about 4,000 doors the first time I ran. I knocked on about 5,000 the second time I ran.
Amazing.
So I really got a great experience just meeting the residents of the city of Coral Gables, speaking to them, and really finding out what the issues that were affecting our city were. And I hope when all is said and done, they can come back and look at my time as commissioner and say, you know what, thank you for the work that you did because you got done the things that you set out to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be honest, you have opposed certain things that I agree with. that the city is spending money on, which I think is ridiculous. You know, focusing on a $60 million bond. No, let's say focusing on a 30,000 per commissioner increase instead of a $60 million bond, I think is ridiculous, right? We get like, look over here at these pennies, but we're going to spend all this money for, but you know,
for a parking garage.
For a garage.
For a parking garage. And I think we're not in a period of time right now to be making that kind of a decision. I don't think we really understand what's going to happen if the tax cuts pass in the November election, which I believe they will. And I think the residents do deserve the ability to control their money. But I don't think taking on $63 million in debt is the way to go. And I ran on that. I ran against that.
Yeah.
One of the first votes that we took when I was commissioner was to stop that mobility hub. I didn't think it was the right way to go. Do I think we need a parking garage? Yes, we need a parking garage. But we don't need what I used to call Gables Insider, the glorified Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage.
Okay.
Because it's not in line with what Coral Gables is. And we have City Hall that's falling apart. We have a youth center where people actually, the youth in our community could benefit from $60 million towards a youth center. But we don't want to spend the money on the youth center because now we want to go after the reverters so that we can do whatever we want with that property.
Exactly.
That reverter is what's protecting that youth center from going to a developer or any future commission. And like I said at last commission meeting, I don't believe that the five of us on the commission, any of the five of us on the commission really want to give that property to a developer. But I'm not sure what could happen 10, 20, 30 years down the road. We need to make sure that that reverter stays there so that there's an independent oversight of that operation, making sure that the city is doing its bid, and it's not.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and bringing up the youth center, I served on the Parks Board for several years, coincidentally appointed by the one who shall not be named. So we pushed for a Parks Master Plan, and you have one, and it's recommended, I think, 40 million and whatever. And that just went to a Parks Master Plan to improve the youth center, to expand it, to improve parks, to improve greenways, green spaces. And that just went to the side. But we can spend $60 million on a mobility hub that doesn't connect to anything. So that's my issue, you know, too. But hey, listen, we're almost out of time, but we have about a minute left. Give us some last words. You know, Commissioner Ariel Fernandez from City of Coral Gables, who is no longer running for re-election. You know, any thoughts of your 3 years in public office and what holds for the future?
Look, it's been an honor to serve. It has been an incredible experience through ups and downs. Every time that I've been able to speak to a resident who has felt that the city has stood up for them and has done something for them has been rewarding and has really made the last 3 years worth my while. For residents out there, all I ask is that you keep us in your prayers. As we take on this project on Cuba, I'm hopeful that we're able to really bring about positive change for the 11 million people that are living in Cuba, who really need the help after 67 years of living in that totalitarian government. And to you, Robert, keep doing what you're doing and holding government's feet to the fire, because if it wasn't for people like you and independent operations like the Gables Gazette and others that are posting information out there, the community newspapers, you know, government does whatever it wants and doesn't keep the people first. And I set out to make residents first, and that's what I've done the last 3 years, and I look forward to continuing to do it until my term ends in November.
Fantastic. Well, great. Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Ariel Fernandez, City of Coral Gables. Thank you very much for coming on with us on Localized Miami here at Community News. Thank you all for joining us, and we have our next show is next week. Next Friday, we have July 3rd, and at 3 p.m., we have former administrative judge Stephen Leifman, who just had his mental health center funded with the Miami-Dade County. He's an old friend, known him for many years. I'm really excited about having him on and talking about the mental health center. So anyway, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you
for having me.
All right. And see you all next time on Localized Miami here at Community News. Thank you very much.